Oh,
Righty. Hello, Cody.
yeah, it went
What?
away. The People magazine story went away.
Oh, see. Okay. Well, what is going on? You are watching and, of course, listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we're here every Wednesday night on the Crowdcast platform. I am your host, Stevie V, alongside holding down the fort with me, Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. How you doing this evening?
Really good, really good. Thank you so much. We're in front of a live virtual audience. And a little bit later in this episode, we are excited to bring up Jaron Soh of his brand new app. And actually, not brand new, but he's going to tell us about the app VODA, all about LGBTQ plus mental health and all that you can take advantage of this amazing app. And we can't wait to talk to him and dive deep into this. I downloaded it, you downloaded it,
Oh
and you
yeah.
already see the benefits of it. So, especially at the time that we are currently in,
Oh, facts.
this is so time relevant, and I'm really happy for that. But more happy New Year, Kodi. Happy Chinese New Year.
Happy Chinese New Year. Love
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. It's the year of the snake, which is really exciting. And
Taylor Swift has a whole year.
I don't know about all that. She seems like she had last year with that tour, but my goodness. But what does the year of the wood snake mean in Chinese astrology? Just to give everybody a little bit of info about this. Of course, you can look up more on your specific sign. But the year of the wood snake in 2025 represents wisdom, transformation, and personal growth, with the wood element adding flexibility and renewal. And these are really exciting things. So yeah, we had something we were going to read a little bit more about our personal ones, but I
Went
don't know, we
away.
kind of lost it. But anyways, I see some familiar
Listen.
faces joining us live tonight. Hello to you all as they keep trickling in and bring those questions. All right, let's get into some hot topics. And oh my goodness, the story that kept us going
I,
all, what were you going to say?
I have it if you want me to read it.
Okay, you want to read it really quickly? The
Yeah, so the year of the snake, a farewell to the year of the dragon, because the year of the wood snake is upon us, officially beginning when the new moon enters Aquarius at 4:36 a.m. Yeah. The year of the snake, meanwhile, comes every 12 years. These calculations, according to the Chinese calendar, which is based on 60-year cycle made of the 60 possible combinations of the five elements.
nice.
Um, yes.
That's good. You know
The
what? We'll
wood snake.
post. Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No. The wood snake has yin wood in the heavenly frequency and yin fire in the snake, making it quick and full of surprises. Yin wood is artistic, imaginative, and curious. Yin fire illustrates how ideas, inspiration, and trends can form in an instant and spread quickly.
Really
Yeah, do you
good.
want me to read our?
No, let's post that a
No.
little later. We should really get on because we
Okay,
have so many hot topics. But
perfect.
I see some familiar faces. Diego, hello, hello. Happy Lunar New Year, Durand. Happy New Year, Bryce. And keep those coming in. James, good evening, everyone. I love it. Okay, well, the story that kind of kept us going from the last year up until now, 2024, was Austin Wolf when he was
Mm.
arrested, as we all remember, at Gay Pride here in New York. Austin Wolf being the adult content creator, porn producer, OnlyFans creator. I believe he even started his Only. Well, if
Yep.
you remember the story we were talking about, all of half of 2024 is continuing into 2025. He was arrested on child pornography charges and for disseminating and distributing child pornography. And he has been locked behind bars in Brooklyn for the for a really long time now.
He's my
And
neighbor? Oh no.
yeah, he is your
Him
neighbor.
and Diddy?
And who is the other one in that
Luigi
state?
Mangione. They're all my
Exactly.
neighbors.
They're all behind bars in the same prison. Well, we were expecting it's the case has just continued to get extended every single month because he apparently is developing a plea deal, and he apparently has information. And this is the seventh time they've extended it another month. He must have some really juicy information. And you have to suppose, Kodi, that spending all this time behind bars and excuse me, he's agreeing to it, that basically he is, they'll use this time for when they sentence him. It may not even go to trial. What are your thoughts on this, that we're still talking about this in 2025?
I'm kind of over it, honestly. I just wish they would sentence him to 18 million years in prison and all those types of things. Somebody was saying that. Oh, I saw a little news flicker flash by. Harvey Weinstein said that he is ready to get out of jail and he wants his court date to come soon because it's a living hell, basically. So I hope that Austin Wolf is going through the same thing, because what he did was awful and he ruined so many children's lives. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess we have to wait another month to find out how this all goes down. But I
Did you
still
say
think
Valentine's Day it's going to be, or he's going to be there for Valentine's
he
Day?
will be there for Valentine's Day, because the
Okay.
next court date, or when they come to another round of all this, will be the end of February. So yeah, he will, almost
Okay.
a
He'll be
year.
somebody's jail boo. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, moving on. And thank you to Durand. And I believe our guest was telling us too, it's Happy Lunar
Lunar.
Year, which is more inclusive to all Asian cultures. And that is really great. So thank you for that correction. And that's how we educate ourselves. And I love progression like that. That's really good. Speaking of, or not so much progression, Target dropped DEI. So Minnesota's largest Pride festival dropped Target's sponsorship. And guess what, Kodi? They raised even more money. So Target has pledged $50,000 to the Twin Cities Pride. They've been doing this for a while. They said they were going to do it again. And just the other day, as everyone's dropping DEI in their corporations, Target being the latest one, that Minnesota's Pride said, no, thank you, ma'am. We don't need it. And guess what, Kodi? They ended up raising, not from donors in this particular time, they raised up to 70,000, close to, I think right now they're close to 100,000, almost double
Wow.
the amount that they got from Target. They don't really have any hard feelings. They just don't agree with the practice, because, every corporation really gets to, I feel, make up their decisions on this.
Mm-hmm.
Companies like Costco have decided to keep DEI into their policies, as well as Apple, but so many have dropped it. What do you think of Minnesota's Gay Pride saying, no, thank you, we don't want your money, and basically we don't want you to be in this year's Pride, and raising all that money without all Target's money?
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. I think that if someone can't support you, then you shouldn't be supporting them.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the perfect way to do it. You stuck it to them. Well, you distance yourself from them because of a decision that they made. And it's a way to show that, we don't really need performative support in our community. DEI is not just for LGBTQ plus I people, and it's for people of color, it's for women, it's for people with disabilities. There's so many more people, and DEI is so helpful to make sure that it is equal for everyone to, get a job, to have health care, to I was reading a story today that said that that's how fathers get leave in order when they have a baby, so that they can actually have time to spend with their children. There's just so many things that DEI affords us, and it's a good thing, and people should be seeing that. So
I think it's a good thing too. I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at the programs within each company and seeing if there's, like, say, universities, if there's, these departments are huge sometimes. And do we really need 200 people in these departments sometimes working on these efforts? I would say looking at these efforts is a good thing. I think it's no doubt and reasoning why, after this administration took office, that all of these companies decided to drop DEI, or many of them, excluding companies like Costco and Apple, which I think it's great. I think each company gets to make up their own mind on it. But if you're looking across the board of your company and you're only seeing one type of people in certain positions, then maybe DEI makes sense. And
Yeah.
that's when you need it. But I don't think there's anything wrong at looking at these programs and seeing
Hmm.
if they're maybe there should be some restructuring. And I don't have a problem with that. I am not extremely left on this issue at all.
Yeah.
But I do think it's ironic that the Minnesota Gay Pride organization, this is something that's come up over years on, do we want corporate money to come into our Pride events? And we've all seen that throughout the years. And sometimes you need that money. According to this organization, it can pay for performers, it can pay for costumes, it can pay for keeping smaller businesses afloat when
Hmm.
larger companies can come in and kind of flip the bill for a lot of this stuff. So they took a big risk by not taking their money and not knowing that they were going to get almost double the amount from private donors is really a huge feat. And I just love the Minnesota Pride organization for having that confidence and standing by their ground by all this.
Oh yeah, it definitely shows that there are more people out there that are willing to support us and that will always have our back. So this is a good thing. I look at it as a win. So yeah.
James watching us live says, I work at Walmart and sadly they also dropped their DEI. Yeah, they did that was it last year that they dropped it? Even before the administration took office. Bryce says, my university teaching job fired me. Oh my goodness, from my DEI job.
Sad.
So sorry to hear that. Wow. Yeah. I mean, so there are real life effects that we're seeing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Across
Yeah.
the board with everything. And
Yeah.
I don't know if these companies realize this, but the more diverse your pooling is of employees, I feel like the better it is going forward to be able to reach those different demographics. So I,
Yeah.
they really need to look at it, like you said.
Yeah, well, we all know other things that are being threatened, like PrEP and how we keep ourselves safe, is currently under threat. Mistr, the online company that can get PrEP available to you for if you have insurance and if you don't have insurance, just crossed a major milestone of 500,000 users. That's up from
Wow.
350,000, 150,000 increase since the election. And that is all because, I mean, the Supreme Court is just last month was hearing a case on whether or not we should continue to have health care cover this because it's a violation, according to them, and I'm using air quotes, of religious freedom. So these things are really real. Tristan Schucraft, the creator and founder of Mistr, who was on our show a couple
Yeah.
years ago, and who is now Mr. Gay. I want to say Mr. Gay Hollywood because he now owns the Abbey, and we've talked about him where he now owns much of Fire Island, and he's places in Puerto Vallarta, and he's on a roll.
And he's getting
Basically,
proposed to. He's proposing in
we talked about his,
Antarctica.
yeah, right. He really believes that anyone who's sexually active in America, gay or straight, should be on PrEP. I think,
Hmm.
quote, I think when you don't have people near and dear to you affected by the disease, you don't think it's an issue. And the company is reporting 18% of its user base doesn't identify as gay, and about 4% are women. So this is really crazy. I mean, I think this is real that people are, I've heard people hoarding medications and trying to get medications from other sources and trying to find new ways of using medications. Do you think this is a larger issue that basically is Project 2025, what they said they were going to do in that 900-page document that basically said it's backwards. They don't want homosexuality to exist. They think homosexuality is a sin. That's why we're seeing all these backward things being implemented and the fear that's surrounded by it. What do you say to all of that?
I do think that this is something that a plan that is being implemented by the current administration. It is insidious. It is that they are taking people and they are trying to fit them into their narrow view of the world, which I think is just ridiculous. People come in all shapes and sizes and just as many identities and ways of thinking. And I think that if only they opened up their minds a little bit, but I don't know if they're able to. I do feel like I'm glad we have Mistr in this time because it's really something that is going to be helpful to so many people. PrEP is saving so many lives. The statistics show that and DoxyPep combined. I know from experience that
Yeah.
they're so helpful in the stop of the spread of all STIs. So I think I'm thankful for Mistr, and we need to do something because the Supreme Court is foaming at the mouth basically in order to stop so many things from existing in this world.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, we were talking about it on episode 635. It just seems like, what year is this? We're taking away the rights of people, taking away the rights of our community, not acknowledging that there's more than one gender, taking away the people's identities. And I've heard of the pendulum swinging when a new administration comes in that is on the other side, right or left. But this is archaic and it's really harming people and causing. And the thing is, not to get too political before we talk about one more story before we bring on our guest, it's really, they're trying to throw so many things at the wall right now, I feel,
Yeah.
just to see what sticks and causing a lot of fear and harm. Much like this next story, we've talked a lot about Pornhub, where age verification laws are being implemented in various conservative red states. What states? Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Montana, Nebraska, North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Virginia. Try saying that, Kodi.
That was
And
like a song. I
yeah,
really
but
I'm
now, not
impressed.
just porn sites, Sniffies, which isn't even a porn site, has had to implement, they've chosen to implement because they don't want to break the law. By the
Mhm.
way, other than Pornhub, there are many porn sites out there that aren't following the law that you can just get on there. We've reported on that people can get on many of these porn sites by using fake IDs because Pornhub's stance on all of this is that they don't want you to put a government ID up there, your government ID up there, because who's really using this? And by the way, who's paying for all of those programs when you have to put up your government ID on there? It's the porn sites. Many of them can't even afford this. What are some of the other newer adult content creators saying? Well, Sniffies is having you put up a government ID up there.
Oh wow.
And they are also using a face liveness check. So it's like a real, now when I was coming into the United States the other day, you don't even use your passport now. It's just like this screen and it
Yeah.
detects who you are. They're
Mhm.
using stuff like that, but that's at least verifying that you're an actual person. Blocklist validation. IDs are cross-referenced against a secure blacklist of previously flagged fraudulent IDs. But people like, and I use Just for Fans. I have an account on there that I post my content on there.
Mhm.
And he is also, they're really throwing it off to the parents and also not only the parents, but when you sign on to these platforms, it should really start when you download the actual application that they're saying, why not check the ID first before you do that, before putting it on to us? We all know what's going on. It all has to do with trying to eliminate pornography. When the administration right now, we have a president that is been with a porn star, not one, but
Bloop.
two. I
Get
mean,
'em.
yeah, it's just ridiculous. But I'll get off of my soapbox because I'd rather
Yeah.
talk to our special guest. Bring up, I was going to say, bring up my girls. There, no, bring Oh my goodness. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Did we have
Hi,
his,
Jaron.
hi,
Oh yeah, hi everybody. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let me introduce you and we'll get started. We want to welcome our special guest, Jaron Soh, to the show. Jaron is the co-founder and CEO of VODA, the LGBTQ plus IA mental health app. And VODA works with leading LGBTQIA plus psychotherapists to develop guided therapy programs centered on our community lived experiences. And you guys are on a mission to help our community lead better, thriving, and more fulfilled lives through inclusive mental health support. And Jared, I understand that recently you've surpassed the 25,000
Oh,
people that
wow.
are on your application. Tell us a little bit more about that and the inspiration of starting all this.
Yes, thanks. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. And good evening, everyone. Good morning from here. I'm in Singapore right now.
Singapore,
Well,
yes, we were talking to you, and it's like 9 in the morning there.
I'm back here visiting family, but I'm usually based in London. Yeah, so we're now close to 29,000 members around the world, most of whom are in the UK and the US. But actually now, because we're a team based in the UK, most of our users were from the UK. But in recent months, a lot more of our users are now from the US. So I would say US is now the largest percentage of where people are coming in from, and a lot have basically, been struggling with political anxiety, with with everything that's going on right now in the
Yeah.
States, and everyone else, all the rest of us queers in every part of the world just watching very intently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to round robin our questions, but I want to talk
Mm.
about like the inspiration of how you started it. And for those people that might think it's therapy based, it's really not therapy. You can put together a group of LGBTQ plus IA psychotherapists together and created programs. What does that mean, and what would we see if we were to download the application, VODA?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So think of it like a headspace or calm, like a meditation or mindfulness app, but very LGBTQIA plus specific. And instead of just learning mindfulness or meditation techniques, you also learn techniques that you would otherwise learn in therapy. So different kinds of therapy techniques. So there's a few really popular and evidence-based therapy modalities. So a big one
Hmm.
is called cognitive behavior therapy, CBT. And
Hmm.
that basically means if you change the way you think, you can change the way you feel and the way you act. But
Mm.
that's often not enough for LGBT people, because if an LGBT person is really anxious, or a trans person is really anxious about Trump coming into office and changing their passport, you can't just say change the way you think.
Hmm.
So CBT is quite gaslighty sometimes for LGBT people. So we have other modalities that help you cope with that. So one of it is called acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, and that's about learning to self-regulate difficult emotions and learning to kind of create a sense of safety from within. So what you'll find in Voda that you will find on other apps or topics like, coming out, but coming out to your family, to your friends, but also coming out as bisexual if you're in a straight relationship. Um, we have topics on coping with gender dysphoria, which is a feeling of not feeling at home with your body. We have topics on managing jealousy in open relationships, accepting
Mm.
your kinks,
Wow.
reducing your sexual shame. So everything very queer, very LGBT focused. We go where other apps don't go. So you never see a topic on Calm Headspace in like how to ask for a threesome. On Voda, you can get support on that in like how do we manage jealousy in polyamorous relationships. So very much made by and for our community with a
Finding
team
out
of
net.
therapists to get it. Mm.
I'm really curious. How were you able to encompass so many different facets of the community into this one app? It just really boggles my mind, really.
So we have about right now 180, 200 programs.
Hmm.
They are written and voiced, which will accompany uh, with guided journaling questions. But what we also
Hmm.
do on the app is recently we started adding AI into the app so we can now personalize the programs based on who you are. So when you sign up, you can tell us how you identify. So in terms of gender, sexuality, but also you can enter your neurotype, which is whether you have ADHD,
Yeah, I
autism,
remember
or
ants.
like sensory processing disorders. So some people can't visualize things. So some meditations they ask you to like visualize something green or landscape. You can't do that. Then we wouldn't recommend that to you. But the AI uses our existing base of programs and then customizes it for you based on your unique context.
Yes, okay.
Right.
Very good, very good. And when I joined, because I'm on it now, and I'm one of the 29,000 people, so it was very comprehensive. It's super specific, and it really blew me away how in depth it got into what I requested of it. So thank you very much.
Oh God, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I think what's really great too is you tapped into, a lot of us, we've had advertisers here on Tags podcast before that were about therapy programs, and a lot of people are for therapy, and everyone says therapy is good for you. Therapy costs money, often a lot of money, and it's a resource that we can't always afford. It's a luxury for many of us, but I think you're tapping into something that is the way a lot of us interact now. It's through our phones, it's through apps, and it's not necessarily sharing the way we talk to a person, and you're diving deeper into the way we communicate today. Was that a concerted effort to avoid actual therapy and to use today the way we use our phones? Talk a little bit about that.
That's such a great question. So, I mean, first of all, I've been to therapy in the past, and that's what gave me an idea for VODA, but it's very much a privilege, and I couldn't afford it after quite some time. And so we wanted to make something where people could learn skills you could learn in a therapy room, and certainly things I learned with my therapist, but also something you could use in between therapy sessions. But we have to make it affordable. So, VODA, it's about $8 a month or $55 a year, which is less than the price of a single therapy session. But beyond that, we have so many free programs as well. So we don't want cost to be the reason why someone can't afford mental health support, which is why we have, I think, over 80 programs specifically also for trans communities. And just yesterday, we launched 5 programs on coping with hate speech because we saw a lot of people coming in and saying, the amount of trolling just went up 3 times, like anecdotally on Meta platforms, because Mark Zuckerberg said you can now call LGBT people mentally ill. And we're seeing, huge spikes with charities reporting, calls in as well. But I think to answer your question, the reason we designed it that way as well is because it's not meant to replace a therapist. So we didn't build a chatbot either. So I think on some apps you can get a chatbot, you can get a chatbot therapist. But I think those could be quite harmful because I think a great thing about a real therapist, is the relationship you have with them.
Yeah.
And then that relationship is also safeguarded by all the training they go through and the certifications they have to go through. We don't want you to have a relationship with a chatbot on our app because it's not a real person and there's no really. That's why we only give you like programs. It's like a AI powered workbook, but you can't actually talk to us like you would a person. Whereas there are a lot of apps on the market where you can get a therapist, but then sometimes they then try to be your partner, like a lot of these apps, and they become your girlfriend, boyfriend, partner.
Yeah.
It becomes a bit strange. We want to give LGBT people the tools basically to make real life connections. So what you can learn on the app, it really enters about, say, this date you're going on. We want you to be able to learn skills so then you could go on this date rather than try to date an AI avatar.
I hear that. I've tried that before to no success. Okay. Well, it seems like the app is very, it takes into account a busy lifestyle. When I went on, it mentioned that, the sessions that I would be going through were only 5 minutes a day. So that's very, very, it can fit into any lifestyle. Tell us a little bit about your commitment to making sure that this app is user friendly.
Yeah, so a few things. Yeah. So when we first started, the programs were much longer, like 20 to 35 minutes long. And we realized people didn't really have time for that because you have to, sit down for a long time and be really quiet and to be able to focus. And it felt too much like work. So what we wanted to do is make things feel a bit more like fun. So we made a lot of programs now 5 to 10 minutes long. The most popular feature we have are 10-day plans, which is if you go on, for example, call and say, I'm struggling with heartbreak. I just got someone I was dating for 3 months ghosted me. You then get 10 days of exercises to do. You can do a few a day if you like, but each one is only 5 minutes long. And their aim to like target different parts of the healing process, I suppose. It doesn't just help you get over heartbreak so easily, but it might teach you one exercise on say envisioning the future, one on identifying your strengths if your self-esteem has been hurt, and so on. So really about trying to make things accessible, learning it a little bit from like how Duolingo does it, where you come back every day to learn a language, and we want it to be like that for people as well. So I think without the commitment device like of a therapist, of course, when you meet a friend or when you go to the gym class or when you book a trainer, you go because there's a fixed time slot. But when it comes to an app, it needs to be a lot more smaller and bite-sized, so people then come back more easily. It doesn't feel too much like work.
Beautiful.
It's like the tool we all need right now. And I can't help but wonder, since everything that's going on here in the US that's affecting our community, the trans community, where we just said earlier that they've said there's only two genders. Did you see a spike in the US? Were you ready for that spike that you are seeing? And coming on shows like ours, what do you think the things that we're going to be looking for, things like anxiety that we'll be turning to your app for?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few things. We definitely see a big spike in people struggling with like political anxiety. I'm not sure if we saw spikes in general people who are trans on a platform. I think it's quite evenly split across all different identities, but trans people have been struggling for a long time. So that's what actually my point I was trying to make is things have been really, really bad for a long time, and now it is worse. But we definitely have seen a huge spike from the US itself, and I think what we want to help people with is to be able to cope with anxiety for the next 4 years. Secondly, also work on feelings of hopelessness. I think that's when we want people to have able to have hope, and thirdly also to have a sense of agency. So to find out one or two things you can work on and to work on those things. You talked a little bit earlier about what Trump was doing, and that's the strategy of people who are trying to oppress is they just do he signed 200 executive orders that attacked all facets of life, from healthcare to immigration to military to climate. So every single, like almost every person that's working on something that's trying to make the world a slightly better place is just going to look so overwhelmed. And that's classic in social psychology is you just bombard them with so much that they're like, oh, actually, maybe I just shouldn't do anything. They want you to give up. So what they want you is to give up. And what is impossible is also for you to do everything. So what we're trying to do with VODA is we want to give people the tools and the agency to pick one or two causes that you really care about and just work on those for the next few years. And that will help you take your power back.
Yeah, I love that. And you spoke about a little bit about the courses that you can take. I noticed that in addition to the plan, there's daily VODA and there's sessions as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about how they're different from one another?
Yeah, so we have a few things. So there are 10-day plans or 10 bite-sized exercises you could do 5 minutes at a time. You can make as many of those as you want based on what you're struggling with. So maybe one is you want to work on your self-confidence. You can make a 10-day plan for that. But if another one, you have lots of anxiety, you could do that. Sessions are longer. They're about 15 minutes long.
Okay.
So they go more in-depth, but they're one-off. And daily VODA is basically just a journaling feature. So you just journal every day, and then you get a recommended exercise to do, and you also get some affirming advice. Bit like getting like a horoscope, but based on what you're going through. But the horoscope advice is based on evidence-based therapy techniques. I'm not sure if
And not the stars.
Yeah, be like a co-star, like getting a today's horoscope, but then tailored to you, and then with tips from therapists. Yeah.
I love that. Well, let's talk about more juicy topics. You mentioned that jealousy can arise when we get into relationships that we are open with, and that's something that I've definitely struggled with before. I love that you're tackling real life issues that a lot of us all go through as LGBTQ plus IA individuals. We are a unique group. Sexuality is a part of our existence, and these are real life things that maybe you wouldn't be comfortable talking to a therapist about, or you would think like, oh, should I even bring that in? You have actual targeted these feelings through exercises. Was that a concerted effort to target even all of those kinds of things like jealousy and open relationships? And I mean, we party a lot off in our community, and things like, am I partying too much? Am I drinking too much? Real life things that affect our community.
Yeah, we have meditations on managing come downs. So if you're feeling really down after a heavy night out or nights out, we have worked with some substance use charities to help people manage their substance use. Absolutely, because mainstream apps just don't cover any of these things at all. And I think oftentimes us as LGBT people, we get by. So we think, oh, yeah, it kind of makes sense that, we think we're fringe. So then all these mainstream services don't serve us whatsoever. And we think it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. And yeah, we get this all the time that I think a lot of LGBT people don't even recognize that how much of what they're going through they can get some support with. But also another point I want to add is I think our app just goes into things into a lot of detail because I think LGBT people in general are more emotionally mature than our cisgendered heterosexual counterparts because we've been through so much and we have to confront so many norms. We have to confront our identity and then fight a bit against societal standards. And that's why a lot of us have considered diverse relationships because we're like, well, screw my sexuality, screw my gender. Actually, I could just decide what relationship I want to be in. And if I'm jealous in an open relationship, I can actually bring it up in a very mature way with my partner and none of us shame each other. But if you look at, say, cishet relationships, right, there are these power dynamics that they don't ever talk about. And that maybe the therapist doesn't even help them with. So yeah, I think we made something that our community really appreciates and also have that level of maturity to be able to like navigate. Because if you put a program like that on a Headspace or Calm, I don't think people would actually, they would just judge it. They'd be like, ew, open relationships. Like, why is it on Headspace or Calm?
Oh, cool. You know what? Something just struck me. How would, is there a feature for if like a couple wanted to go on and kind of, go through the experience together? What would that even look like? Or is that a possibility?
Yeah, not at the moment. It's a really great question. So I think there's some apps out there that are specifically for relationship counseling. So VODA is a lot more for self-development right now. It'd be cool to have something in the future where you could share things with your partner. I do think relationship counseling is very different. And I'm not a therapist, but I do think even if a couple has issues and they're going to couples counseling, it's also actually helpful for them to also go into individual counseling. Because I've been in couples counseling in the past when I was in an open relationship, actually, and it wasn't going well. And years now looking back, I'm like, actually, it wasn't a good idea to go to couples counseling together because we were just triggered the whole time. So we never learned how to manage our triggers. So we're going in a therapy room for 1.5 hours and both just really angry with each other the whole time. And bringing back to an app is I'm not sure how helpful, like, I think a couples linked therapy app could be helpful, but I think it only really works if both individuals also work on themselves. So then when they actually come in between, they can actually come to a bit of a baseline.
I love that. That's great.
And that's where they can do VODA separately. Oh my gosh, Jaron, we want to thank you. Before you go, though, we'll list everything on how people can download it and give your socials. But I just got to ask you, I mean, I love that this is not your first foray into having a startup that's so successful. This is your third one that you found investors, and it's become so successful. I think it's really great as somebody, and a lot of our listeners want to get, start their own businesses like you. And what advice, in a nutshell, could you give? Because I know there's articles on that you could impart on being so young and starting your third entrepreneurial startup that's successful.
Hold on, let me get my pen and paper really quick.
Yeah, you're too kind. I don't think we're quite where we need to be yet, but we have very big ambitions, and we have a great team of intersectional investors behind us. We have 18 investors, and they're all across the spectrum of gender, sexuality, ethnicity, and so on. And I guess my tip is, first of all, it depends on what you want to build. So it was actually much easier to raise funding for my previous company, which we now sold, because it was a typical business marketing software company. And when I was starting VODA, it was actually a lot harder to start an LGBT-focused business because everyone just thinks you're niche, even though it serves a big population. But I think is to believe in yourself as an LGBT person, because I just think we have innate ability to overcome a lot more and go through a lot more rejection than other people. For me, when starting a business, it's not about who says no. You just need to keep knocking on the doors until someone says yes. And then once the first person says yes, it gets so much easier. So for this recent company, I think probably had like 99 no's before one yes. And then once that one yes was like firmly in my corner, I probably had like a 30% success rate getting each investor afterwards.
Oh, wow.
It's really like what Lady Gaga said, there's 100 people in the room, 900 maybe. Really, it's just that one, but you just gotta keep knocking. And for me, it was easy to keep knocking because the toughest thing I had to do in my life, as cliche as it was to come out to my mom and dad. And with coming out with your family, there's only one door to knock on. And thankfully, they were accepting of me. So once I had that, I was like, well, I don't even give a shit if 99 straight men said no to me. I'm just going to keep knocking. And with investors, most of them are out. So you don't really know I just had to keep pitching to investors. And then some of them will be like, oh, I wish I had this app growing up. And it's like, you're one of us.
I got you.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
When in doubt, always quote Lady Gaga, right?
That is amazing. Thank you for sharing that is so well. How can people download VODA? I know it's on wherever you get your apps, but share with us what you want us to know.
Yeah, so you can find VODA on www.voda.co. You can also search VODA LGBT on Google Play or Apple App Store. And I would love to hear what you think. You can send us feedback directly through the app. We ask for feedback all the time, and that comes through directly to us. You can email me anytime as well at jaron@voda.co. I'll get back to you. I reply to everything. So yeah, thanks again for having me. I love you both, and it's just I love the podcast. Yeah,
thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What you're doing is really breakthrough and needed, and thank you for doing that. We'll have you back, absolutely. And when we come to London, you're showing us around. You made
yes,
absolutely.
The whole weekend free.
Nice. Enjoy Singapore with your family, and we will list everything on the site. Yes, exactly. Lunar New Year, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaron.
Thanks.
Oh, very cool.
So wonderful. That was great.
I know. Oh, we had people asking if he was single or not, but you'll have to email him on that one. So good. I love it.
He's very responsive, so go ahead and email him.
I just love that it's something like you filled it out already. I'm going to download it because there's a free version. You can start off on that. It's exercises. I love the Duolingo analogy. I think that's really great. And then, I mean, really $55 a year when you think that's a session of a therapy session that you can kind of incorporate. The way we interact with our phones these days is so relevant and today. And I just think it's brilliant. And so congratulations to him.
Really, it's really comprehensive. When I logged on and I saw the entire program that I was going through, I was wowed. I was floored. Like it was something that I feel like is going to be very beneficial to what I'm looking to do, the direction I'm trying to go in with my mental health. So I'm very excited to, and you know what? I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, I will. I will get on there too,
Let's
and
do
we
it.
all have stuff that was going on right now, especially in this time. But I think we could all benefit from it. Okay, we've got a couple of hot topics before we get into some advice, and
Ooh.
of course, thirst trap, and all in the next rest of the show. But we got to talk about Crunch Fitness in West Hollywood. Had to close their steam room due to ongoing inappropriate conduct. This is so funny,
Boo.
Kodi, because though I work out at Crunch Fitness now, I haven't joined a gym in years, but I joined last year and I'm happy to be back because I use my gym here in my building, but I use that one as well. And it, I remember being a part of Crunch Fitness in West Hollywood, and
I
that
hear it's the place
alone,
to be.
well, that alone should tell you that the steam room back when in the early 2000s had, I wouldn't say inappropriate conduct, but conduct going on. So
Oh, it was
we,
inappropriate.
but you layer in West Hollywood in
Yeah.
a steam room in the heart of gayness. It's like, come on, it's gonna happen. I mean, so the fact that we're closing it until further notice is just, I think, either just close it all together, sadly, or keep it open. And I don't know. What do you say on this?
I have my stories in the steam room in Crunch Fitness, so I probably attribute it to them closing it. So I understand it. I get it. It's not that, I don't think I thought about very much the other people that were trying to enjoy the steam room back in the day. Like straight people go in there, they don't want to see that. If I went in there and I saw a man and
Valerie
a woman
Cherish.
making out, yeah,
I don't want to
do
see
it.
that.
I don't want to see that for sure. So I get it, I understand it, and those days are long past. So yeah,
Yeah, I feel the same way. The problem is when you're in a concentrated area like West Hollywood, and I remember that steam room. Gold's was another one. It's so concentrated of gay men, and it's too many. You almost wanted to go back in the day when cruising, or even today, and I'm not advocating, I'm just saying, you almost want to go to the gyms that don't have a huge gay population of gay men, because it doesn't become Saturday night at the club or in the dark room. It's just the few and that you do see in there. If you happen to get lucky, then do it discreetly where no one else is there. I remember doing it at a gym here in New York, but it was a Friday night. It was me and this other guy. We had some fun. No one even saw us. No one walked in
yeah,
on us. It's those large pooling of gay meccas that too many people, and it's not a dark room on a Saturday night, guys. Sorry, that is going to raise the red flags and it's going to shut it down for the rest of us. And then we all can't
yeah.
have fun anymore. So
And
I
there's
don't know.
there's also the steam room at the bathhouse. Just go there, okay?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or go to the dark room at another place, or yeah, it's just, yeah,
There's a million
a
places.
million places. Okay, well, we love giving advice on this show, and this was entitled Emotional versus Romantic Connection. You see if you can differentiate what this person is really saying between emotional versus romantic. So a while back they wrote, I was on a baiting like masturbation baiting website on one of the forums, and one of the straight identified guys started a thread about physical versus emotional intimacy, talking about he was masturbating with a buddy and how he felt this emotional connection and wanted to say these things like I love you specifically. And then there were several guys who came on from various orientations talking about feeling this emotional connection but having trouble expressing it, with feeling like if they did express to the other person, would they react negatively? And until eventually one guy said, I can't understand, why isn't everyone on this group accepting that they are gay or bi and seeking man on man romantic and sexual relationships? And of course, at one point,
No.
the conversation turned into what came across to me as straight splaining, that no, this emotional connection is not the same as a romantic one, that there's a big difference between wanting to bait with a bro and wanting to have a gay sexual relationship. That emotional is not romantic and romantic is gay. Also, there's our guys that romantically but not emotionally connected to their wives. Do you see a difference in these two things, Kodi? The remote, I mean, I sort of do. I've had an emotional connection with a quote unquote straight person before, but I don't know that we were masturbating together. I mean, we had an emotional attachment that was different from his other straight counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you're baiting with somebody, is it
Jacking it.
emotion or is it just sex?
You know what? It's the masturbating together that it's kind of throwing a little wrench into the works over here, because I feel like once you put the sexual aspect of it, because whether separate or together, masturbating is a sexual act. So I think for me, I personally think that it's a little gay. I was trying to find a nice way to say it, but it's a little gay, and maybe they're not as far into the straight portion of the spectrum as they would like to believe. Because I think that one, I think having an emotional connection to someone is perfectly fine, but once you cross that line of sex, it becomes more than an emotional connection. It doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic connection; it could just be a sexual connection as well. So I think that the sex is what makes it more than an emotional connection.
Yeah, and the times that I have had that an emotional connection with somebody was somebody that was like a dancer that didn't identify as gay, and we found ourselves in compromising positions, but not, yes, at times sexual, but it was almost like gay for pay type of
Oh.
situation. But then we would hang out, and then it was much more of an emotional connection that he probably
Hmm.
didn't have with his straight bro friends. That we still to I'm thinking of this one person that today we are now super close. We don't have any
Hmm.
sexual relationship anymore, even that gay for pay anymore. We are just friends now, but we have a very unique relationship that is, I mean, he's married now. It's just very unique. And that's all I'll say. That is quite emotional at times. Not like we're, "Oh, I love you," but just emotional that we probably share things more than he probably shares with like his gay bros or, that kind of, or his straight bros. And so I sort
Yeah.
of understand the differentiation, but we're not baiting together. And I think that's a sexual act that many gay men enjoy together.
Yeah. I mean, and if you do, I'd like to see it. Just record it, okay? But I think that I want to put out there that I think that you get to define who you are and your sexuality for
Yeah.
yourself. My point is that if you are enjoying this with this specific person that is a male, yeah, for me, I would recommend that you explore what those feelings are about and what pleasure you get from actually masturbating with another man in the room. That's all. Just explore, babe.
I love it. Okay. Well, before we get into Thirst Trap, there was a recent discussion that asked where is the best place to take a thirst trap picture? And because we
Ooh,
have Mr. Thirst Trap in our arena, Kodi, with us, we have to ask
that's
the
me.
question. But there was a whole thing online about where is the best place to take, and a lot of people said bathroom selfies. There's always widespread debate about the practice's appeal. We've talked about it on this show. If your bathroom's clean, if it's not. We've talked about bedrooms where you've cleaned up after yourself, or there's a pile of dirty clothes in the background. No one wants to see that. Valerie Cherish. There's typically a studio specific selfie wall, somebody said. Sometimes it's neon, sometimes it's graphic. Says somebody at Barry's boot camp that it's
Mm.
a great place to take a good selfie. But he also said my favorite spot would be in the studio towards the door that you enter, especially when that door faces natural light. Yeah, I love natural light. I think natural light is really good. When the sun is shining on you, I think is
Yeah.
really key for me. Lighting is so important. That would be my tip on taking one of the best thirst traps. If having really good sunlit natural light on you, if you can find the right angle and the time of day. If you're in London, it's kind of hard sometimes. It's so Seattle, sorry, but it's a little like gloomy a lot. Or some really good lights like I have on me right now that are really just are flattering. What's your thirst trap technique and place to take a good thirst trap?
Well, I am a gym selfie, a bathroom selfie, and recently I've become a bedroom selfie person. So I think all of those places are the best. Also,
Okay, how are you doing
outside,
it at the gym without everyone looking at you? I
I
mean,
don't
you see
care if
so
they
many
look at
jokes.
me.
Oh, okay.
I don't care. I don't care. They can look all they want. If they want to hold the phone and help me take the picture, that's good for me too. If it's really crowded, then I won't do it. But I don't mind if people are there and watching. I don't care. Recently, I've been going a little bit later to the gym, and it's just too packed for me, so I just shoot out. But trust me, if people are in there watching, I don't care. I see plenty of people doing it, and you know what? I love myself, so why wouldn't I take this picture of myself in the gym?
And it's just a
So
selfie. We've seen people like in X and all that their dicks out at the
they do
gym
way
and all this
worse.
stuff. And it's like, how in the hell are you having
Why
your
are
dick
you?
out at a commercial gym? In what city and time and place did you
I
have
want to
this
know.
happen? I mean,
Give me the
I
tips,
would want to
honey.
know too. I don't have the nerve, yeah, to do that, but more power to you. And with that, we just put a link for those watching us live, because like I said, we're in front of a live virtual audience of Straight Up Gay Porn's Thirst Trap. And this week, they are recapping who out of these 17 gay porn stars took the best photo. And it's our job on an audio podcast to describe who and why on an audio podcast, because this show gets repackaged tomorrow, why we chose the one we chose. Kodi, why don't you go first? And who did you think took the best photo of the week?
I'm kind of between two. Damian Knight, he's in the bathtub, he's ass up with all these soap bubbles out, and he's just presenting, and it looks very inviting. He's looking at the camera and got a little smirk on his face. And also the one right above him, Alejo Ospina and Deep Dick 10x7.
That
Alejo
should
is on
say
his
it
knees.
all.
I know, right? He's on his knees with a huge cock in his mouth, and there's a guy behind him looking at the camera as well, just looking on and watching him suck this dick. And Alejo is looking like he's enjoying it, and also looking at the camera and looking like he's enjoying the camera as well.
Yeah, I
So
have to say that was
I
going to
had to
be
pick
my
two.
pick. That was going to be my
Yeah.
pick too. There's something
Oh,
about which one's is Alejo, the one with his
he's
mouth
the one on his
open,
knees. Yeah.
who has these great tattoos below his right nipple, above his right chest, above his right chest pack. And the way, I mean, he's coiffed, like he's got the beard coiffed perfectly. The haircut is on point. The hair is perfectly done. And he's got those great eyebrows. And he's just, when you open up, it's like a microphone. We work with microphones a lot. You want that microphone in the perfect spot. Just
Oh
to,
yeah.
he has positioned that dick, that thick 10x7, right? Like a perfect mic with the lips are pouty and sultry and wet. And I think it's the way it's placed. It looks heavy too. So that gets my pick.
It's got some
But
girth on it.
yeah, but I have to say Sean Xavier above it looks really
Right?
delicious.
They really
Uh,
came in hot with this one after King
yeah,
Louis. I was like, pow, pow, pow.
Sean Xavier, African American, we think, is looking really delicious with a great expression on his face. I think he looks like he might be looking in a mirror, and he's got an incredible body, but that dick is
Yeah.
also just like protruding forward and out, and he's got great hip flexors as well in front of this really nice bedroom decor behind him, I would say.
And his bed is made, and it looks
Yes,
nice and
right.
clean in the background. I'm here for it. Top three for
Ah,
sure.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that rounds out our hour of Tags Live. We want to thank our very special guest, Jaron Soh of the VODA app. You guys should download that immediately. I'll list on how you can get that on show notes and on tagspodcast.com. Just reference episode 636. You can always follow my co-host, Kodi, on Instagram at Mr. Maurice. Look for his thirst traps. He's got some good ones over there. But also go to his Blue Sky account at the same handle at Mr. Maurice, where you get some exclusive content over there. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. Or go to my Blue Sky or X at TAGSPodcast, where you get a preview of my Just for Fans and OnlyFans. And tomorrow, I'm cooking a bone broth in the morning, Kodi.
Ooh.
So I'm up early, bone broth for the collagen and all that good stuff. And I figure since I'm going to be out getting those bones together that I bought, I'm going to be showing some boners and shooting some stuff. So that is to come next week.
Bones on bones. Love
bones
it.
on bones. Go to our Patreon page where you can support us. We've got a bonus episode out right now. We've got commercial-free content, and we've got 50 and Fabulous tips and tricks on staying in youthful. And the video is out now. You can go to patreon.com/TAGSPodcast. And Kodi, in the meantime, continue having hot gay sex. Thanks, everyone.